Cybertruck is dead. Long live the Cybertruck plus plus. I guess. Quick thank you. He's in the chat even. Stevie Z. Thank you. My newest Patreon. Your help and support is appreciated. Kind of a new fun format this week. You are watching the extended version right now. There will also be a recapped, summarized, shorter version that'll be posted probably in the morning. And whichever one you're watching now will be on the screen. So if you want to watch just the summarized version and you're watching this later, there'll be a link in the description. And if you're watching the other version, there'll be a link for that. Okay. So before we get into the news of the Cybertruck, Rivian had their delay. Now, for those who don't recall, this was supposed to be the year of the electric pickup. Bollinger, Lordstown. Who? The Hummer, the F-150 Lightning, and the Cybertruck. Those were all supposed to be around now-ish. And it looks like, kind of, none of them are. Rivian shipped a few to employees, apparently. And then with just a few days to go before deliveries were actually scheduled, well, they got pushed out to next year. Some as little as March and April, others as late as October 21st of 2021, to April of 2022, but I've seen others in August and September. So there's some delays. Now there's also a rumor that the F-150 is having its delays as well, but no, it's not, definitely not. And then this, oh no, it's delayed. It was supposed to be scheduling around October. Now it's delayed. And then the latest word, this was updated. Unfortunately, deliveries have slipped. Spring estimate to now September. Well, spring is kind of like September. I mean, they both touch Q3, sort of. In any case, all that money that Ford has spent promoting the heck out of this car seems to have been a bit premature. It feels more like greenwashing their reputation rather than actually doing anything. But it was today's news that got me. Whole Mars catalog. Omar's reporting, rumor has it the Cybertruck no longer configurable on the Tesla site because they're debating getting rid of the single motor version and having only 2, 3, and 4 motor variants. To which Elon said, initial production will be the 4 motor variant with independent ultra-fast response torque control of each wheel. Well, yeah, we know how torque control works. We know how good the control is on an electric motor, let alone a Tesla. They will have both front and rear wheel steer. So not just like a tank, it can drive diagonally like a crab. So the diagonal is nice, but also this really, really cuts down on the turning radius. So let's talk real quick about what this means. To me, this means there's not going to be a single motor. Not initially, at least. And it means that the 39.9 promise is looking pretty unlikely. So we're going to do some math in just a minute. But first, let's go as a heads and look at Tesla's history of missing on price targets. So when the Roadster was unveiled, mid-2007, for $80,000 to $120,000. $80,000 for the Roadster. A lot of people were very excited about that. And I don't remember which documentary it was in. There's footage of the meeting with owners who'd pre-registered or paid or put an awful lot of money in, absolutely losing their minds when they found out that 80 wasn't going to happen. Well, yeah, it came out 109 to 170 was what they actually cost. 109 to 170. 2006, let's talk about the roadmap. I can say the second model will be a sporty 4-door family car at roughly half of the $89,000 price point of the Roadster. So even in 2006, August of 2006, it was still going to be $89,000. And it came out to $109,000. And so talking about the future of cars, he said, the Model 2, that sounds familiar. This was going to be the Model S. will be close to mass market with a price around $45,000 to $50,000. So he genuinely thought the Model S was going to be $45,000 to $50,000. Model 3 will be even lower cost and definitely affordable by the average American. So yeah, and then even here we are, when the first look of the Model S, when it was unveiled, looking at a retail of $57,400, with the tax credit bringing it under $50,000. Boy, that would have been tight. That would have been tight. You can, by the way, now buy that car, in some cases, for less than $50,000 all these years later. The Model S, though, did eventually come down in price from the very high introductions, coming out at $70,000 and then dropping back down in the $66,000 to $71,000 range for the S60 and N60 dual motor. So that's, not bad, I guess. And then even very recently, the price came down to $69,420, shortly before the refresh, because a lot of premium buyers were waiting for it, and they had the margin, so why not make it the sexiest number of all? Model X can be yours for just $80,000. How many people who got one for $80,000? So when it came out, not even close, 90. And it up to 120. And you've seen a lot of people who paid over 120. And then, of course, the Model 3, the promised $35,000 car. How many people who got a $35,000 one? They did exist. You could get them off menu for a time. But how rare were they? I can't speak for the US, but in Canada, we know that from May of 19 to March of 20, just 126 standard range Model 3s were sold, about 1% of deliveries. So that $35,000 didn't really happen. The Model Y, $47,000. Now bear in mind, this is a car that Sandy Munro said would be cheaper to build, is cheaper to build than the Model 3. We'll see. Model Y base price breaks $60,000. More, it says more than the original Model S. I didn't see many Model S's in that range. A few, I guess. And so here's a complicated chart that shows a bunch of the prices that we're going to be talking about momentarily in the breakdown. When the Cybertruck was first unveiled, it was announced that they were going to start by delivering the single motor, the short range, the slow boy. But once orders picked up, they realized, I guess we'll go for the bigger one. So we've got some takeaways on that. But first, let's do some math, huh? Here we've got some numbers. The Roadster was supposed to be $80,000, was announced 11% higher than that, and released significantly higher still, with an actual price closer to $123,000. So from the announcement, it's up 40%. 38% is quite a jump. The Model S did better, although $44,500, that never happened. But it ended up 6% cheaper than the launch price at one point. That's pretty good. The Model X did even better, eventually 2% lower than its introduction price, and pretty close, only 10% off its launch and planned price. It's announced and planned prices. Now the Model 3, $35,000, announced at $35,000. I'm going to say it was never released at $35,000 because it was so difficult to get. And then it jumped to $39,900. I'm calling that the actual price. Certainly not the price today, but that has more to do with other manufacturers faltering, the chip shortage, supply constraints, all that, and the rampant demand. There are a lot of people who got an SR Plus for $39,990, an awful lot. The Model Y announced at $42,000, actually sold at $42,000. It's, most people were more in the $49,000 range by the time they were actually able to take deliveries. And of course, it's now over $60,000. But that leads us to the Cybertruck. What's going to happen? Is the single motor Cybertruck dead? I'm going to say it's not. But the $39,900 Cybertruck is absolutely dead. It is absolutely not going to happen for a bunch of reasons. The biggest one is it doesn't have to. Late breaking news right before I went on. Sawyer Merritt, okay. Now that Elon has shared it, I'm told Tesla is planning to have a quad motor and dual motor lineup, at least initially. No single, no tri-motor. So, I don't know how many of the million-plus reservations will opt for the 4 or 2 motor models, but I'm going to guess an awful lot. And I'm going to guess that by the time that 39.9 single-motor version comes out, inflation alone will have made it an absolutely impossible prospect. There ain't going to be, in my opinion, a 39.9. It'll be very profitable when it does come out, at whatever price it does. But I just don't think it's going to happen ever. Real quick, in terms of Cybertruck hype, looking at the shop, bestsellers, Cyberquad for kids, and the Cyber Whistle. What do those have in common? They're both out of stock. They sold out within hours each. The thirst for anything Cybertruck related is amazing. It is so intense. But as for the 39.9, look at these cars. Look at the size difference. This is a $45,000 car. This is a $60,000 car. You're telling me this is going to be $40,000? With more space, more material, more batteries? That's not going to be a 39.9 car. It's just not. Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10, it'll be a great value for fleets, for humble folk like myself. But I don't know, man. I don't see a reason to sell it for $40,000. So what are the takeaways from this? Well, one is batteries and motors are less of a constraint than everything else. The self-driving hardware, the microcontrollers, the little chips, it sounds to me like, are in shorter supply. Because a quad motor with a giant battery could easily be a single motor times 4. But more realistically, 2 or 3. You could probably get 2 or 3 Cybertrucks base models out of the batteries and motors that go into the quad motor. It's just, the good news is, it sounds like they're going to have enough batteries. And as an investor, I'm very excited because these are all going to be ridiculously high margin vehicles. But man, the idea of getting a 39.9 Cybertruck, especially if it came with the tax credit, boy, that was going to be exciting. So, if you got questions, now's the time to ask them. I do want to give a quick shout out and thanks to all the Patreons who get early access, bonus content, and ad-free experience, and to help keep the channel running for as little as $1 a month. You guys are awesome. All right, I'm going to put on some B-roll and get into the questions. If you're watching this after the fact, on the condensed version or the regular version, you can always go back and watch the other one, but link in the description, of course. But of course, in the comments, I need you to let me know, what did I miss or misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts and brilliance. Yeah, I think this is fun. I have fun with these. Yeah, this was fun, David. I'm glad you were here. Thank you for joining us. And awesome. Stay tuned, stay juicy. Can't wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the flippity flop.